Wow, we got breaking news all over the place. Ben Arbuckle, the offensive coordinator for Washington State, has just been hired by Oklahoma. I was talking about Arbuckle being the new offensive coordinator at some other places. I did not mention Oklahoma. And that takes us to what is Washington State's quarterback going to do? John Mantier, incredible season under Arbuckle. Is he going to go to Oklahoma? Remember, we did a report a week ago? We did a live show. Part of our live show was there was reports that the current quarterback of the Washington State Cougars has had at least one offer of $1 million. And now his offensive coordinator, some school was supposedly unethically trying to poach the quarterback before he officially went into the portal. Anyways, his offensive coordinator has just left for Oklahoma. We'll keep an eye on if Mantier actually goes in the portal. Today, a couple quarterbacks did go into the portal. The portal season is starting to simmer. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends. If you want to Support this Rebel Outpost college football channel with a donation. Hit the $sign where you make a comment, and I'll get to super chat as quick as I possibly can. Welcome everybody into the studio, especially the Seminoles. A whole lot of bad news came with the Seminoles this football season. 2-10, an implosion in Tallahassee. But today is a very, very, very good day for the people of Tallahassee, the Florida State Seminoles, Osceola. And I'm not just blowing smoke. I'm giving you guys my strongly, firmly held opinion. I've given Florida State Seminoles a whole lot of bad news in the last 5-6 months because it was the truth. Well, I'm giving you the truth today as I see it. I am a massive Tony White fan. I've not hidden from it. I've said it to the Cornhuskers fans for the last 2 years. I said it about Syracuse. That is going to be our big story in our monologue. We're not going to start with it because we got a whole lot of other stories that we're going to get to quickly. But just let me say, I'm shocked. I'm absolutely flummoxed that the Florida State Seminoles were able to get Tony White. Not a shot against Florida State. I'm absolutely flummoxed. I thought Tony White, his next jump was going to be for a head coaching position. I don't know, man. I asked the question on X. I said, Cornhusker fans, are you a little worried about this lateral move? And then I got Seminoles fans saying, well, it's not a lateral move, Greg. It's a move up. It's a move up. And then I got Cornhuskers fans saying, are you kidding me? Going to a Power 2, Nebraska to Florida State, that's a jump downward, Greg. And let me show you the data that shows that Matt Rule really wanted Tony White out. So I think I asked the right question because I got bombarded by both sides of the equation. I am flummoxed. Tony White is the real deal Holyfield. Mike Norvell, look, he's got a deep, 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 deep hole to dig out of. He's done it before. This hole's a little bit deeper, but he's done it before. And in the world of NIL and Gus Malzahn, I'm not quite all that hot on that offensive coordinator hire. But this one is an absolute home run. The defensive coordinator hire of Tony White is an absolute home run. And I am going to explain why when we get to that part of the monologue. We have got a lot of other things to get to first. Let me say thank you for everybody who's come on in. Nathan Campbell, update on West Virginia. Chief Fan is in the house. Nathan Campbell is here. Patrick Bear, Skaven, yes. Mr. Cornhuskers in the PATC family. Well, bye to Coach White. Rock and Rant. The DC hire is as great as their OC hire is bad. Jimbo Fisher to West Virginia. Lego Gators is in the house. Bo Weevil. Bo Weevil beat those ponies, get into the playoffs. Chad Bracey is in the house. Taytown Hawk is here. Kurt Searcy. It's been a minute since I've been here, fellas. What are the thoughts on the potential? Well, I just gave you some of my thoughts. And Knighton, the defensive line coach, he's got a lot of credibility behind him. But I'm mainly going to talk about Tony White. And it's all good. It's all great. And Kurt, you know how I do it here. I'm going to give you the truth. I have said a lot of things that the Seminole fans have not been happy with me, but they turned out to be true. This, I think we're going to go down that same road, but this is fantastic news for the Seminoles. I'm going to get into it, but I have seen it firsthand. I've seen the 3-3-5 defense confuse the hell out of people. Just give me a moment at the end of the monologue to explain Tony White. Knighton coaching D-line. Yes. Florida State literally has a guy with war paint on that gets off a horse. Okay, Ray is in the house. Expedition Greg, Clinton Moses is here. CFB Plus, Rock and Ran is here. The Architect. Hold on, PATC. This is going to escalate quickly. What did I do wrong now? Jimmy is in the house. Randy Taylor is here. Jose, USC is here. Breaking news. Jamari Butler enters the transfer portal. Interesting. Jay Chapman is hoping for Nebraska-Oklahoma bowl game. I'll probably get into a little bit of the bowl games later in the week. Strangely enough, most of my conversations today have had to deal with bowl games. It's when you see national reporters projecting who is going to go where in the bowl games, they're just doing the best they can. Bowl projections, you can have it all locked in. You can think you know where it's going. You can get information. You can get inside information. You can have it locked in. But 15 minutes before it becomes official, a conference can move the pieces on the chessboard. It's happened. It will happen. The protocols within each conference, and I'm just gonna talk about the Big Ten for an example. There's certain protocols. Well, the problem is those protocols have an exit hatch written in them. The exit hatch is, or in case of what is best for our bowl partners. So in other words, these are the rules on how we decide which team goes where, but we can change them at the last second. So projecting bowl games, there's some science to it. There's a whole lot of luck to it. There's a little bit of art to it. And I'm bringing this up because earlier on, like Nebraska, for example, I don't know where Nebraska's going. No idea where they're going to go bowling. They haven't been to a bowl game for quite a while, so they're open to going anywhere. Like, they don't have this thing where they've been to this bowl 2 times in the last 4 years or 1 time in the last 3. Therefore, how the agreement with the bowl is written, Nebraska should not go to this bowl game for another 4 years, whatever. That does not apply to Nebraska. But because of Nebraska's fan base, and they're going to travel wherever Nebraska goes to, that enormous, intense, great fan base is going to go to the game. So the Big Ten bowl partners, they know that. Nebraska is going to bring their wallets. They're going to spend money in the community. I'm just telling you, Nebraska 6-6, 3-6 in the Big Ten, very well could jump a whole bunch of people. And they could go to a better bowl game than what the standings would indicate. And I know when I say that, people are going to DM me, but these are the protocols. These are the Big Ten rules. They've been broken in the past. The Big Ten bowl tie-ins are all going to change again starting in 2026. So if they want to break them here and going into 2025, they're going to break them. So in other words, ladies and gentlemen, when you see me project where the Golden Gophers are going to go on my X account, which I did earlier today, there's a 99% chance I am dead wrong. Just like my picks against the spread, which, well, we're going to go through that in a little bit real quick. We're going to go through that real quick. Hint, hint, wink, wink. Chad Scott is the interim head coach at West Virginia. Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Go Black 45. Michigan versus LSU. That could happen. That could happen, Go Black 45. That could happen. However, Go Black 45 and Ryan Brooks and all the other LSU Tigers in the PATC family, there's another opponent that LSU could be playing in the Music City Bowl, in Nashville, Tennessee. And that is your beloved Minnesota Golden Gophers. Brett McMurphy of Action Network, that's his projection. It's a projection of another couple more media outlets out there. I believe the Gophers are going to go to the Mayo Bowl, but if they don't go to the Mayo Bowl, they're probably going to the Music City Bowl. And there's about an 80% chance LSU is going to the Music City Bowl. It could be versus Michigan, or it could be against the Minnesota Golden Gophers. So buckle up, LSU Tigers. Rutgers want a piece of Vandy. Bring it out. Keep chopping. He's in the house. Jay Chapman is here. Bob Swanger, Connecticut fan. Charlie Atwood. We are Penn State. Florida State has a lot of potential. The almighty Finn is in the house. Richard L. We want the Holiday Bowl. Miami. Well, I have been hearing that it very well could be because the Colorado Buffaloes are still with the Pac-12 bowl tie-ins, that it's most likely, I shouldn't say most likely, it could happen that Colorado plays BYU or another Big 12 opponent. So keep that in mind, Richard L. Keep that in mind. Like USC is not among the Big Ten bowl games. They're outside of the Big Ten bowl tie-ins until 2026. in 26. Friends Call Me Sean is in the house. Ryan Willie on Wisconsin is here. Matt Neeson. The Cyclones will win the Big 12 championship game. Matt has spoken. Matt has spoken. Okay. First of all, let's get to some breaking news. And then we're going to get to Tony White. I have a very strong opinion on Tony White. Very strong opinion. So buckle up, brace for impact. Florida State hit a grand slam home run. First of all, let's talk about the injury. Arizona State wide receiver Jordan Tyson out indefinitely. Will miss the Big 12 title game. Third quarter against Arizona, he went out. His arm is in a sling. Before he left the game, he had 8 catches, 140-some yards. Devastating loss. Massive loss for the Sun Devils. How do I equate the Sun Devils losing Tyson? I would put that at the same level if Penn State lost Tyler Warren before Penn State played their first game in the playoffs. Or before Penn State goes to the Big Ten championship game. Arizona State needs to win this Big 12 championship game. I think the game right now is a pick'em. It's a pick'em between the Sun Devils and the Cyclones. It's 1 point either way. Tyson, by far, was the Sun Devils' most productive wide receiver. We did a couple watch parties on the Sun Devils. We shouted the name Scattaboo, but we also talked about Tyson. It seemed like he made every big third down play for the Sun Devils. I think he ended up with 70-plus catches on the season. Over 1,000 yards. The next wide receiver for Arizona State caught like 30-some passes. Again, Arizona State, it's a pick'em, could go either way. The Sun Devils can still win the Big 12 championship game, but it is a massive loss to the Arizona State Sun Devils. They're going to have to overcome. They're going to have to persevere. Again, they're hitting adversity square in the face. Dillingham's going to have that team ready, but they're going to have to win it up without Tyson. And it's going to be tough. It is going to be tough. CFB Plus, what did I tell you, Greg? I don't know. I'm sure you told me something very wise. I get a lot of that. Every day I always get direct messages. What did I tell you, Greg? What did I say, Greg? And I'm always having to, okay, now what did this guy, I get a lot of that. Let me know about ASU. Don't sleep on them. Got it. All right. We're not sleeping on them. We are not sleeping on them anymore. Pretty no girl, Golden Knowles. Yeah, Florida State hit a home run higher. We're going to get to that. We are going to get to that. That was it. Thank you, CFP Plus. Appreciate it. Here comes the haters. That's fine, pretty girl. That's the way it is. I've had a lot of Seminoles haters lately because I told them the truth. It wasn't all good, but this time it is very good news. Very good news. Pete Thamel. USC quarterback Miller Moss is entering the NCAA transfer portal. He tells ESPN, Moss started 10 games at USC and has thrown for 3,400 yards, 27 touchdowns in his career. He has 1 year of eligibility remaining. So, here's the deal. I'm a Miller Moss fan. Yeah, he did throw some interceptions. But overall, Miller Moss is a very good quarterback. I have read the reports. We talked about this a few weeks ago. Miller Moss, it looks like he's going to go to the Big Ten. It looks like he's going to go to Michigan. He wants to go someplace where he can compete for a conference championship. My question is, Underwood's coming. So does Miller Moss want to go someplace where the number one quarterback recruit in the nation is going to be looking over his shoulder, and every time Miller Moss makes a mistake, the fans are going to hear it, you're going to hear it, it's over his shoulder? Does Miller Moss want that type of situation for his last year of eligibility? On the other hand, he does want to go someplace that he can win a conference championship. And we have heard, for whatever reason, the family, according to reports, allegedly wants Miller Moss to stay in the Big Ten. So, how many Big Ten schools are out there that is one quarterback away from competing for the conference championship next year? I think the Buckeyes are going to settle their quarterback situation in-house next year. I believe the same. I don't think Penn State's going to be looking for Miller Moss, in my opinion. I don't think Oregon is going to touch Miller Moss, in my opinion. They got other stuff going on there. Now, Indiana's going to be looking for a quarterback. Does Miller Moss believe if he goes to Indiana, they can compete for a conference championship? What about Wisconsin? They're looking for a quarterback, right? Now they've got a true freshman that's coming on in, Bruce Smith, who's going to believe that he should be QB1. So who knows? But Miller Moss is entering the portal. We're going to be keeping an eye on that story. Arkansas, Brett McMurphy, Arkansas coach Sam Pittman will return for the 2025 season. There was speculation that Pittman may retire. But Pittman, 29-31 with 3 bowl games, will return for his 6th season at Arkansas. He is scheduled to undergo hip replacement surgery on Tuesday. So Sam Pittman is coming back to Arkansas. Missouri wide receiver Luther Burden, to surprise to no one, declares for the 2025 NFL draft. He could have come back one more year. He could have scooped up a whole lot of NIL money, but Luther Burden's going to be a first-round draft pick. One of the top 2 or 3 wide receivers going to be picked, so he's going to enter the NFL draft. Pete Thamel. Sources: Appalachian State is firing Coach Sean Clark. App State finished the season 5-6 and it's 40-24 in 6 years. App State did put out a little bit of a memo out there on social media discussing why they fired Sean Clark. App State, their expectations is to be able to win the conference championship and to get into the college football playoffs, and they have not competed the last couple of years under Sean Clark, so they made the change. Nicole Auerbach. Jim Phillips believes SMU will be ranked high enough to, again, on Tuesday night, to be in the projected 12-team college football playoff bracket, and that SMU shouldn't be penalized for losing in the ACC championship game if it does. If they're in now, Jim Phillips, the commissioner of the ACC, he insists that they should stay in. Now, I made a couple of comments today. At least Jim Phillips is out there promoting an ACC team before the ACC championship game. So Jim Phillips has grown at least a little bit. Now, I had some Florida State fans kindly giving me a few elbows when I said that. But, at least Jim Phillips is saying something, right? Now, some people would rather have Jim Phillips talk about SMU, Clemson, Miami, that two teams should get into the playoffs, that Miami should get into the playoffs. But at least Jim Phillips is not completely silenced. And here is a big one that just broke a little bit before we came on live. Max Olson. Liberty quarterback Caden Salter announces he is entering the transfer portal. Salter earned the Conference USA MVP in 2023 while leading the Flames to 13 wins in the Fiesta Bowl. He has put up 6,438 total yards, 66 touchdowns in his 2 seasons under Jamie Chadwell. Pretty interesting here, guys. Now, last year, if you remember, Caden Salter entered the transfer portal for, what was it? 24, 48, 72, 96 hours. He wasn't in there very long, and then he went back to Liberty. This time he's probably in the portal and he's probably going somewhere. We also have, there's people out there talking about how Jamie Chadwell, the head coach of Liberty, is on potential shortlist of the job openings. West Virginia, for one example. So could it be a Jamie Chadwell Salter combination? Probably not. But you gotta keep an eye on that. I think Salter is gonna look. I don't know where he's going. I would have to think that a Power 4 conference team, a program, a coach that is desperate is going to take a run at Mr. Salter. Right? I would think so. I mean, this is a type of quarterback who could survive an offensive line that is trying to mature, right? That maybe is not all that great in 2025. This guy has so much ability. It's going to be a step up. It's going to be a step up if he's playing some Big 12 football or some ACC football or some Big 10 football or some SEC football. I'm very interested to see where this is going here. So watch his name in the portal. We are going to now get to the big story of the day. The big story of the day. The show is called Florida State Seminoles Hit Home Run with New Defensive Coordinator Hire. First of all, let me say this. Tony White was a really good defensive coordinator for Syracuse. At the time, for the talent that they could bring in, Syracuse They wish they would have him now. With that offense, if they still had Tony White as defensive coordinator, Syracuse would have challenged for the ACC championship. Tony White goes to Nebraska. People are pointing to this statistic where Nebraska's defense wasn't quite as good as it was the year before. Well, I'm sorry. But that has a lot to do with Nebraska's offense. Nebraska's offense was so anemic that they had to change. They changed out their offensive coordinator. They brought in Dana Holgorsen. There was large stretches of time where Nebraska's offense did nothing. And the defense had to play against the short side of the field. Sometimes they had to be out there all day. There was a couple of games that Nebraska defense was brutalized. No question about it. Indiana brutalized a whole lot of people. Not Colorado. Nebraska handled Colorado easily. There's a couple of games out there. But Nebraska's defense had to hold up the whole tent for the Cornhuskers this year. Until Holgorsen got there. Until they actually started giving the rock to the running backs. They got a little bit more production. And Dylan Raiola is starting to grow under Dana Holgorsen. But my goodness, Tony White's defense kept Nebraska in it. If it wasn't for Tony White, Nebraska would not have just broken their non-bowl appearance streak. Tony White, 3-3-5 defense. It creates a whole lot of flexibility. It creates a whole lot of confusion. 3 down linemen, 3 linebackers. Now, Nebraska did go to a 4-man defensive line when they needed to. Injuries, getting nicked up, all these reasons why you go to a 4-man defensive line. But the 3-3-5, Tony White, you could tell that Nebraska, they knew what they were doing on defense. They knew what they were doing. The players knew where to line up. They could recognize what was going on. Nebraska's defense under Tony White has been very, very good, just like it was Syracuse. Now, Nebraska is losing a bunch of seniors. I don't know it sounds like they're going to be doing they may do an internal hire for the defensive coordinator position. I do not know. But Tony White's going to go down to Florida State. And he's going to install a defense. The Seminoles are going to need linebackers. And I know the Seminoles linebackers. Now, the Florida State's defense was much, much better than the offense. We can all agree with that. But the linebacker position was their linebackers were confused. Whatever. Tony White's going to bring in, he's going to recruit, and he's going to get that linebacker position. You got to have a bunch of linebackers to run the 3-3-5. He's a hell of a coach. He is one hell of a coach. I am flummoxed. I congratulate the Seminoles for being able to pull this off. I congratulate Mike Norvell for being able to pull this off. He's got a deep, deep hole to dig out of, but my goodness, he did something today that I did not expect. So we're going to be watching that story in Tallahassee. I'm going to be very interested to see who they bring in out of the portal, especially at the linebacker position for Florida State. Because in my mind, when I sit back here and I think about it, I'm thinking Tony White was motivated to take the Florida State defensive coordinator position. Was it for more money? Florida State, okay, they're going to spend money. Nebraska has a whole lot of money. They spend a whole lot of money on their staff. So was it money? Maybe it's the following. Yeah, okay, Florida State in theory has a better recruiting ground, no question about it. But maybe it's this. This is speculation on my part. But this has had me flummoxed since I saw the breaking news that Florida State got themselves one of the best defensive coordinators in the country. Mike Norvell hired Gus Malzahn, and he's given Gus Malzahn play calling duties. He's given him everything. Mike Norvell is giving Gus Malzahn the keys to the car that runs the offense at Florida State. That is what people are telling us, right? Public reports, the chatter behind the curtain. Mike Norvell to the car to Gus Malzahn. Gus Malzahn, you don't have to worry about talking to boosters, administrators. You do the offense. You call the offensive plays. That is your world. You control it. I got a feeling that Mike Norvell has told Tony White, you got the keys to the car. Tony White, you've got complete control over the defense. Who we recruit, who we target, NIL money, and the defensive scheme. We know you are a schemer. We know you have your philosophy. Bring down your philosophy that has worked, by the way, already in ACC country, by the way. Florida State has gone against, Mike Norvell has gone against Tony White, by the way. We've seen it work in the Big Ten, by the way. Bring your abilities, your skill. You have the keys to the car on defense here in Tallahassee. That is my speculation. Mike Norvell is only going to think about being the head coach, being the CEO, overall looking at the recruiting, overall looking at the roster management, overall looking at the NIL, overall having a philosophy going into the game. Are we going to go for it on 4th and 3 at this situation? Whatever. He's not going to be looking at his play calling sheets anymore, staring down at his play calling sheets. He's going to have Gus Malzahn offense, Tony White's defense. That is why maybe Tony White was incentivized to go to Florida State. No shot against Matt Rule. No shot at all. But Matt Rule, he's a hands-on type of dude, man. He is a hands-on type of dude. So maybe Tony White was looking for more autonomy. Speculation on my part. Let me rip on me if you need to in the chat room or with your phone calls later in the show. A lot of people are disagreeing on what is the better job. People are going back and forth on that. A home run? Not really. I think it is. I think it's an absolute home run. Illini Ted, the portal will be crazy as always. We opened up the show with that, Connecticut fan. Ben Arbuckle, new offensive coordinator of Oklahoma, Does that mean that Oklahoma is going to be going after Mr. Mantier, the quarterback of Washington State? UCLA would need a quarterback. Ma should think about it. He wants to go somewhere where they're going to be able to compete for a Big Ten championship, a conference championship, in the 1 year left of his eligibility. With all due respect to UCLA, I do not think they are ready to win the Big Ten championship next year. Salter to Florida State? I don't know where he's going, but that is very interesting. Very interesting. Drew Aller might be back next. Penn State will not, I believe. Drew might be back next year. No, I would not be doing a basketball show. I'm too busy. And football, the off-season of football is crazy here at Peek Around the Corner. Absolutely crazy. Okay, one more thing we got to get to. Then we're going to open up for your phone calls. I hope I've explained the Tony White situation. Absolute home run hire. And Matt Rule might, look, Matt Rule might very well make a great hire for Nebraska. An internal hire, it might work out for Matt Rule. No question about it. But it's just very, you got to question why. Why did Tony White make this move? Anyways, let me get to, I have not heard of any Dylan Raiola portal rumors. None serious, Replica. None serious. Ricky Tungate, appreciate the super chat. I missed the Holy Smokes Theater drama. We're going to get back to it, Ricky. We're going to get back to it. This offseason is going to be crazy. The first half of 2025 is going to be crazy. Thank you, Mr. Tungate, for your super chat, for your support once again. Thank you so very, very much. Let me... let's get to this before we get to your phone calls. We're going to open up the phone lines in a few minutes. But week 13 was the best week of Greg the Gold. The best week by far. Did I follow it up with another winning week? Did I? Did Greg the Gold make another appearance? 2 weeks in a row? It's unheard of. Did it happen? Did it happen? Two-week winning streak. Am I on a roll of a lifetime? 1 week is a fluke. 2 weeks, I become a legend. Did it happen? Did it happen? No, it did not. I just came off my best week of the season, and I just had my worst week of the season. This is Loserville City, and I'm still your mayor. We're going to go through this real quick because this is real painful. And then we're going to get to your phone calls. You can talk about anything in college football. You can talk about the great hire that Florida State made. Caden Salter, the quarterback of Liberty, going in the portal. You can talk about anything you want, but we first got to get through this mess. We both lost, the PATC family and myself. We both had Tulane, and we lost. The PATC family had Oregon State. They did cover, just barely. PATC family won, and I lost. We both had the Minnesota Golden Gophers. They covered, they won the game. Georgia Tech versus Georgia. The PATC family had Georgia Tech. Of course, I had Georgia, and I lost. Michigan versus Ohio State, the game. The PATC family had Michigan. I had Ohio State, and I lost. I can't believe I got this game wrong. We both took Clemson. Why was I this stupid? I should have taken the Gamecocks. What was I thinking? We both lost. Tennessee had Vanderbilt. It looked great at halftime. Well, no, it looked good after the first quarter. We both took Vanderbilt. We both lost. Notre Dame at USC. I got a little bit fortunate here. You guys took USC. You lost. I took Notre Dame. I won. Miami at Syracuse. The PATC family took Syracuse. I'm the moron. I took Miami. I lost. Arizona State at Arizona. We both took Arizona State. We won. Kansas State at Iowa State. We both took the Wildcats, and we both lost. Auburn at Alabama. We both took Auburn, and we lost. Texas at Texas A&M. The PATC family took Texas A&M. I took Texas, and I won. You guys lost. Your guys' record was 7-6. My record was 4-9. You guys did 3 games better than I did. Oh, guess what? Going into this week, I had a 3-game lead on the PATC family. So what is our records now? We are both tied. We have the exact same record at the end of the regular season. Exactly what happened last year. We both are 63 and 85. 63 and 85 against the spread. 63 and 85.
Oh my God!
Is horrific. It is brutal. That is our record. I just want you to think about that. It is Greg the Cooler. The PATC family is ice cold, and it's been going on for months, not days, not weeks, for months. For 3 years, this has been going on. I don't know what's happening. I don't know if this is contagious. I don't know if Greg the Cooler can spread his coolness to all corners of this great nation of ours. Because in the PATC family, we have representation from every corner of this country. And when you guys pool your picks together, when you vote on these picks, you are as bad as I am. And I'm the worst that's ever been. There is nobody in college football YouTube channels, when they do picks against the spread, there is nobody as bad as I am. And I am consistently bad. Historically bad. Hysterically bad. And you guys match me step by step. We're going to have to think about this, guys. We're going to have to figure out something next year. I don't know what's going on. This is Loserville City, and I am the mayor, and you are my constituents. That's the only thing that I can figure out. We are going to open up the phone. We got skills. Let me after I've just insulted every single one of you, telling you guys are as bad as I am going to open up the phone lines. I'm going to open up I had a 3-game lead on you guys. A 3-game lead, and I gave it all up. The phone lines are open. 763 260 1333 763 260 1333. Give me a call. Let me know how wrong I got it on Tony White. Let me know how much of a failure he's going to be at Florida State. Let me know where you think Miller Moss is going to go to. Do you want Miller Moss in your team? Pittman is coming back. How big a story is that? Pittman is coming back to Arkansas. What's the latest? What is the latest on the West Virginia coaching search? Well, they're going to have a press conference tomorrow. Correct? Breaking news. Top-rated prospect in the Hurricanes class, Halton Stubbs, flipped to Florida this evening. It's a blow to the Miami's 2025 class.
Call from
Replica.
Replica is on the line. The floor is yours.
Hey, Greg. Hope it's going well. I just wanted to clarify my comment. As far as Raiola, if you remember, probably about a month ago when they were kind of tail sliding,
yeah,
there were kind of rumors of, hey, if they don't change how they're running the offense, that Raiola was going to go in the portal, and that kind of led them to Dana Holgerson.
Yeah.
And I think that may have played a decision in Tony White leaving for Florida State because they've invested a lot in Raiola. And if they get on to have a good relationship, they're not going to move Dana Holgerson again next year unless things unless it's real disastrous. So if they come into hard times next year, who would be that person to take the fall? And I think that could have been something he was looking at. He may have also just wanted to take that opportunity to help rebuild that program because that'll make him look better as a coach if he comes in there and helps him turn that around, maybe.
Well,
helps him get a head coaching opportunity of his own.
I think it's Replica. I think it's probably pretty important that they bring Dana Holgerson back for next year. Now,
right.
I haven't seen that announced. I don't know if that's for a for sure thing. But if you can imagine for a moment, let's say Dana Holgerson said, this was fun. I got my juice back. I love going back to this. But maybe I want to do it somewhere else, closer to home. Whatever it is, I'm not coming back next year. If that happens, then Dylan Raiola is going to be under his third different offensive coordinator in 2 years. If he doesn't go in the portal. Now, if he goes in the portal, he's still going to be under his third different offensive coordinator, but at the same program. That's kind of difficult to sell your star quarterback. So hopefully for Matt Rule and the Cornhuskers, they can keep Dana Holgerson, but I haven't heard any reporting on that, so we'll see what happens. Continue on, sir.
Yeah, it was just rumors. Like nobody with any real credibility was running with that. I'm just saying that could have made Tony White turn his head because, like I said, if they come on hard times again, it's going to be hard to point at the offense because he's already made changes in that regard. And again, this might be an opportunity for him to really show what he can do and help rebuild a defense, get his name for some head coaching consideration. So I think that's why they hired him. And I think he's a hell of a coach. To run that 3-3-5, you got to have dudes on the defensive line.
Yeah.
Real dudes who can play, and he's shown he can put together a really good defense. So I think that's a good hire for them. And I think He brought in Gus for recruiting. I really don't even think it's about the offense at all because they're running the same scheme, and he learned it from Gus. So I think this is for him to help get their recruiting up. UCF's top receiver took a visit to FSU a few weeks ago, and it kind of felt weird to me that he was checking them out. But now, seeing what's happened, it makes more sense. So I think that's what that's about. Mike is trying to get the recruiting going because I don't think his word alone and the guys that he's had there previously are going to be able to really get the attention of those kids in state. So I think that's what they're going. They're trying to get some new voices in the room. So we'll see how it works out for them. But I just wanted to clarify that. I don't have anything else today.
Okay. All right. That's fine. Yeah, I just hadn't heard anything. Again, back a few weeks ago, there was a couple. I think people were worrying more than there was any steam to it. But again, Replica, Dylan Raiola he jumped around to different high schools, and then he jumped around on his commitment to college. So that is another reason why people are like, is he gonna stay at one spot, in college? So we'll see what happens. I love the guy, man. I think he has a world of talent. I think he's got to work on some stuff. I think he lofts the ball too much. Sometimes you just got to drill it. But
I think he's got to get in better shape. He looks like
he's got to get in better shape, and he's got to pull the trigger with earlier, like with timing. Sometimes he gets out of. Sometimes it looks like he has to scramble a little bit before he can throw the ball. He gets into that sort of posture too much, and that hurts him. But he's got a world of talent, though. My goodness.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
All right,
man. Got to put it together. All right, it's going to get interesting this week. The portal is jumping. We're going to see a lot more faces.
Yeah. Yes. It's going to be crazy. All week we're going to be talking about the portal. Anything else, sir?
Nope, that's all for me today.
All right, Replica. Thank you, my man. Call again, sir. Appreciate it.
Will do.
All right. Beautiful call. Thomas Moss, Florida's may bring a top 10 class. Still might be 8th in the SEC. Napier brings in all the positions to make a team. If they do well in the portal, next year playoffs is in play. Mike Norvell, Morris Simmons has to be able to recruit Florida much better. Too much talent in the state of Florida. It was just my speculation early in the show, Morris. My speculation on Tony White, because Tony White is a it's a home run hire. And I got a feeling that Mike Norvell is giving the keys to the car, to the offense, to Gus Malzahn, and giving all the power to Tony White on the defensive side of the ball. And he's going to be the CEO. So the recruiting of Florida might get better. Mike Norvell might be able to spend all of his time on recruiting, roster management, NIL collective, talking to his general manager. However, that is going to work inside the Florida State Athletic Department. These head coaches, the successful ones, are delegating more and more stuff to their coordinators, to the coaching staff, to their offensive and defense analysis. It looks like that's what Mike Norvell is doing for 2025. He's not going to have his head deep in that play calling sheet. He's going to be able to communicate to his whole team. I had my doubts that Mike Norvell could dig out of this hole, but the Tony White hire has me rethinking. That's how big time a hire this is. Yeah, bring in the defensive line coach Knighton as well. It's more than a rumor. That is being reported that is a possibility. And that is somebody Nebraska did not want to lose. Yes. Very, very big moment for the Seminoles. Give me a call, 763-260-1333, 763-260-1333. We're trying to keep up on all the breaking news that is going on. Here's another breaking news. Max Olson, 47 seconds ago. FAU, Florida Atlantic, is targeting Texas Tech Red Raiders offensive coordinator Zach Kittley as its new head coach. Story on the 33-year-old coordinator emerging as the Owls' choice. Wow. The Red Raiders. Looks like they're going to lose their offensive coordinator. He did one hell of a job this year. You got to admit that. Morton was cooking for most parts of the season. Breaking news. Holy smokes.
Call from
JD.
JD, Mr. Seminoles is on the line. The floor is yours. A good day to be a Seminole, my friend.
Yes, sir. And now that the season's over, I can come out of hiding. I was just too embarrassed to call in.
You never had to hit anyways, sir. You don't have to hide. This is the PATC family. You come on in anytime you want.
I appreciate it. I've gotten to the age that wins and losses don't affect me like it did in years past. It would, but this was a special kind of bad this year.
Yeah, it was.
It was like embarrassing, and it got into where our rivals didn't even troll us. They were also like, what in the world? It just went so bad. But getting on to the hires, I was encouraged weeks ago when I was hearing that, once the positions became available, they weren't having to seek out applicants. They were being contacted, and of course they can't tamper or anything like that. But it was rather significant, and there was a lot of NFL coaches that were reaching out too, from what I understand. So that was encouraging. White, I think that is a home run hire. I agree with you. I'm not opposed to Gus Malzahn. I mean, and even though his offenses have kind of lost their luster of recent, they've still been top 20. And most times they're top 15 offenses.
Mm-hmm.
So, and there's a history there. Yes, Norvell was a GA for Gus, but they've been in touch. I mean, I remember a podcast, it was 4 or 5 years ago, but Norvell's wife, Maria, I mean, Gus's wife is like her mentor.
Mm-hmm.
They're really close. So
yeah.
In other words, the families are close. And that was one of the things that popped in my mind was, I'm not opposed to Gus. Other people have brought it up in recent days that, Gus isn't known for a really, intense aerial attack. He can run the football. He can run the ball. And he's also a bit of a, I guess they used the phrase, I think Jeff Cameron was talking about it today. He's known to be a bit of a red ass, which we need that. And I hope Tony White's the same way. So you've got some things in play that are encouraging to me. I just think we needed to wash the season away. I believe Mike Norvell is a national championship caliber coach, but at the same time, he deserved to get fired for what happened. So there's just, both can be true.
Mm-hmm.
And if that contract wasn't in place, it would have been the best interest of both parties for him to walk away. But that contract's there, so we got to move forward. I am actually kind of encouraged by what Gus can bring. And I do know Mike's going to have his imprint on everything. But Mike is that was the most surprising thing of what happened this year. People that know Mike Norvell, you'd think he's cloned himself, and there's 10 of them. I mean, he is everywhere. He is doing everything. He's all over the place. I mean, the players, even throughout the season, the players never lost faith in him. I do think some of them tuned out, the enthusiasm and all the rest of that. And there's a greater reason on what happened this year. It's a culmination of 5 or 6 things. I don't think I could tell you in this phone call. Mm-hmm. But it was just a confluence of events that transpired, and then the players one of them is, and you talked about it earlier, our defense wasn't terrible. They were put in bad positions the entire season. And they didn't play good early on, but they got better by the 3rd or 4th game. And if we had just had a mediocre offense, just mediocre, we'd have snuck out 7 or 8 wins. We were so bad on offense. I mean, everybody saw it. People, I guess around Halloween would just pop in and catch up on some of our games. It'd be worse than any slasher film ever, because it's just like, the offense was so dreadful. And
let me ask you, can I ask you a question about the offense?
You can ask me all the questions you want, sir.
So we are in a position where Florida State just went 2-10. Mike Norvell, they're spending a pretty penny on getting Gus Malzahn and Tony White. So in my mind, you're coming off a 2-10 season. You're spending a whole lot of money on your coordinators. I think it's my speculation that his coordinators are going to get a whole lot of authority. But you're doing all this because you know that you're not going to be able to get away like other programs, like most other programs. You're not going to be able to get away with going from 2-10 to 5-7, right? That's not going to work at Tallahassee. Not when you just went 2-10. So
yes.
You're going to need, for example, you're going to need a quarterback. You're going to need a quarterback that is ready to win now. I'm sure Florida State is going to line up a great high school quarterback, and not Brock, but the other guy. Who's the other guy's name again?
Luke Krummenhoek.
Yeah, okay. Just my opinion only. I don't think he's ready to lead a team to 10-3, 10-2 next year.
I agree.
So what I'm getting to is Florida State is in a position where their expectations are, of course, high. So I think they're probably going to get a transfer quarterback, correct? Let's cut to the chase, right?
Yeah, I would agree, yes.
Okay, so you agree on that. Now, we already got a Caden Salter in the portal. I don't think Florida State is going to risk taking him. I think the kid's got a lot of talent, Liberty, but it's just too much, in my opinion, it's just too much of a roll of the dice. Miller Moss seems to be geared up to join Michigan or a Big Ten university. That's the reports. We don't know that for sure, but a Miller Moss would be a pretty damn good take for Florida State. I've got a name here, John Mateer, Washington State quarterback. He had an incredible season. He basically carried that team, the Cougars, on his shoulder. An incredible athlete. He is Johnny football. John Mateer is more Johnny football than Johnny Manziel. He's not in the portal yet, but his offensive coordinator just was hired by Oklahoma. Maybe John Mateer is a possible take for the Seminoles. But is there any names in Seminole country, JD, that you are hearing that the Florida State Seminoles are gathering up? They're going to go after them if the person happens to go into the portal. Is there any names you are hearing out there?
I haven't heard any, but I will tell you this. I am just now kind of re-engaging on some of that. And I have heard, I did listen to Jeff Cameron today, and you know this way more than I do. There's always talk behind the scenes. You probably hear of players that are ready to go in the portal before they ever even announce it. And there's definitely that with him. There's, year after year, he'll kind of hint around that players in other programs reach out, to see interest from FSU. I will say this, FSU's not going to sit around. Part of their mistake last year on the portal, they'd had so much success in previous years on developing players that they weren't as aggressive in the first cycle, and then a lot of the real game changers went on the first cycle. I'm talking about the first couple of weeks of the portal. Mm-hmm. And a lot of those guys got snatched up. Scorton for Texas A&M, they could have had him. I mean, and I'm not saying Texas A&M wouldn't have. He wanted to come to FSU, and FSU wanted him too.
Well, he's from Texas, though. I thought he wanted to go close to home.
Yeah, well, he if I'm not mistaken, he was on campus, and he was. And Texas A&M might have outspent us. I don't know, but I'm saying is, they're like, oh no, you're a take, but yeah, you're more than happy to, if you want to go ahead and take the visit to Texas A&M or whatever. I mean, they felt there was a little bit of an overconfidence that they were just going to bag all these for sure players because they had. I mean, look at what Jared Verse and Braden Fisk and Renardo Green and all these guys are doing in the league. They're freshmen. Keon's hurt, but all these guys are doing in their rookie year of the NFL. I mean, Fisk and Verse are vying for NFL rookies or defensive rookies of the year, both of them. Renardo Green, I mean, he was getting bragged on in the game last night. Now, I didn't watch past the second quarter, so hopefully he didn't get burned. But he's been playing really well. Just a lot of guys that were on the team last year have just gone up to the league, and they're standing out. And so their track record for development. I mean, Jordan Travis, Jerry Jones, Johnny Wilson. I don't know what Johnny's doing right now, but so many of these guys they developed, and I believe that they could just take some of these guys that had a pedigree, that had come from Alabama, that had come from Georgia, that they just automatically would have developed them, and it didn't happen. It didn't happen. And the guys that they thought would be vocal leaders or would develop into those roles this year, it didn't happen. Across the board, it didn't happen. They had a team of complementary pieces and no alphas at all this year. And then the team, to be honest with you, they never really bonded with DJ. They never really had a leader all year long. And you could tell. There'd be times where you think defensively, man, they're really playing well. You didn't watch any of the Florida State-Florida game, did you?
I think I saw stretches of highlights. I don't think I saw the game live.
Well, I think the final score was 30. What was it? 31.
Something to 13 or something.
Yeah, 13. Yes, something like that. But
yeah.
Do you realize we actually could have won the game? we fumbled the ball 8 times. We fumbled the ball 8 times.
Yeah.
We gave up 5. We were going in for a score, 2nd and goal on the 2, and we fumbled. We muffed a punt inside our own 10. We had 2 or 3 other just terrible mistakes. We only had 2 penalties the whole night.
Wow.
We had multiple. We were going in on another drive for a touchdown or at least a field goal. Florida would have got probably 14 fewer points, and we'd have scored at least 10 more. And I mean that was the nature of our season. We couldn't get out of our own way from the very beginning of the year. So, and I don't even know where I was going with that.
No problem.
But it's just we didn't have anybody take the reins. It wasn't a player-led team, and it never. I remember talking with you about that 2nd or 3rd game, and it never got better. Ever.
Yeah, I really you and I disagree a little bit in this. Of course, you know more. I mean, you watch every game. I don't watch every play of every game like you do, but the offensive line to me just wasn't as talented as people thought. In the run game, in the wide receiver core, which you and I did agree with at the beginning of the season, and Jeff Cameron talked about how he thought it was a weak part of the team. The wide receiver room was pretty weak. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
I'm right here.
Thought I lost you. The wide receiver room was pretty weak. I didn't think there was a whole bunch of. They did not perform. They could not separate, and they could not catch when they could separate. So.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. They've got some good young talent, and they've got some kids that seem like they're going to be leaders, but a lot of them are true freshmen.
Yeah.
Offensive line, they've got capable offensive linemen, but they just play terrible the whole year. Now, actually, on Saturday night, they were actually, in some instances, not consistently, but in some instances, they were actually moving the line. They were actually moving the pile.
Now, John Teal with the super chat said, he said Michigan just paid the number 1 quarterback a boatload. Miller Moss is not a fit, which I think there's a whole lot of logic to that, John. I think Miller Moss would like to go to Michigan, but that was before Underwood's going to Michigan. I don't know how all that is going to work out. So the question is, first of all, thank you for your super chat, John Till. So the question is, would Miller Moss be a fit for Florida State? But I also agree with King Spleen. Thank you for the super chat, John Till. Thank you so much for your generosity. King Spleen said Malzahn's offense doesn't require an elite passer. They need to be mobile. So that is not Miller Moss. And I would agree with King Spleen on that. So, again, maybe, again, you don't want to jump on, well, the portal's going to be going on for a while here. You can't really even enter it unless your coach changes or you're a grad student. So I think Miller Moss is a graduate. I think Caden Salter is a graduate. Their coaches haven't left. I think they can both enter now because they're grad students. But you don't want to jump on, unless it's the guy you want. It's the guy you've been talking to under the table. You don't want to jump on the first couple that go to the portal because you might lose a monster coming in late. So my question to end this phone call, JD, is this. And I don't really expect you to have an answer, but to speculate on it, I'm just wondering, is Mike Norvell, Florida State, is there a quarterback 1A, quarterback 1B that you think they're waiting to enter into the portal?
I wouldn't know at the moment. I know Gus is already there. I know Gus has already been talking with players. I know all this is in hyperdrive.
Yeah.
I know they're going to take it probably at least. I wouldn't be shocked if they took 40 players out of the portal. I wouldn't be shocked.
Well,
They're,
yeah. Well,
no. Go ahead.
The thing is everyone's going to be like, losing a whole bunch of play. Everyone's got to get their roster size down because of the new NCAA versus the House. Most teams are going to go with 85 guys and no extra because you have to pay them money out of your salary cap if you have extra. So there's going to be a whole bunch of guys in the portal, and a lot of those guys are not going to find a home, which is sad. But so yeah, I agree with you, JD. Florida State is going to be crazy. They're going to get so many new guys in the portal. It's going to be head spinning. But go ahead, sir.
Well, there's going to be some guys that they lose that in previous years they were disappointed, and this year it's just best we part company. I don't have anything against Pat Payton. He was projected to be a top 3 or 4 round NFL draft guy this year. I think he ain't getting drafted. He ain't played well at all. He's been very lackluster all year, and I expect him to leave, and I don't think I think they'll mutually part company. Mm-hmm. He's been very lackluster this year. There's other guys that in other years you'd want them to stay, and they need to flip the guys that aren't bought in. And we got angry, Mike, after the game the other night. There was that little where Florida went and planted the flag on the field, and Norvell went and grabbed the flag and threw it, Florida's flag, and threw it. And then he and Billy had words. Billy wasn't going to say nothing to Mike, and Mike was pissed, and just kind of half-heartedly, shook hands and walked off. But it was, we got angry Mike now. We got disgusted Mike now, which is good. I think I don't think because of the snub, maybe just too many of these players were feeling sorry for themselves. Maybe he spent more time nurturing than just being a taskmaster. Whatever. I think it's over. I think that's done because he is a bit of a taskmaster or master. And there were times that I didn't see that this year. Hopefully that's back. Hopefully this is a one-off, and 5 years from now we'll be like, gosh, did 2024 really happen? And it would be a lot easier for everyone if Mike is the guy and he can fix it.
Yeah.
But you're right. As of a few weeks ago, 6-6 was about what I expected for next year. Maybe 7-5. No, they're expecting to at least. There's expectations that they better win a minimum of 8, and they better be 9 or 10 wins.
Wow.
And I think it's possible. But it's just believe it. I'm going to tell you, they got a lot of talent on that.
That's what you said all. That's what you said all off season last year.
But they just so underperformed.
Yeah. Well, they're going to get a whole bunch of new guys, JD. Yeah.
Most of the talent is young talent.
Yeah.
So
right.
I did think some of the older guys were more talented than they are, but it's just, I don't know. Anyway, been a long call. Didn't mean to be so long.
Hey, man, I appreciate you calling, JD. You can call anytime, sir. No more hiding, JD. No more hiding.
Oh, man, just talking college football hurt my heart, man.
Wow. I understand.
Anyway, all right, sir. Have a good night. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Right,
No, I understand. I understand. As a Gopher fan, I completely understand. I have lived through the 2-10 seasons. That's why I am very thankful that Fleck is still the head coach of the Golden Gophers. Give us a call. Give us a call, 763-260-1333, 763-260-1333. Florida man, Florida State needs to be willing to pay $3 to $5 million for a quarterback. My goodness. Florida State has been bad this year, but all programs have been very bad for a very long time. You guys are talking about Haynes King leaving Georgia Tech to go to. I don't think Haynes King is leaving Georgia Tech. I think he's got a pretty close, tight relationship with the head coach of Georgia Tech. We shall see.
Call from
Evil Badger.
The Evil Badger, Ryan Willie, is on the line. The floor is yours. How are you doing, sir?
Well, I could be better.
Yeah.
If we still had the act, but since it's gone,
You'll
until
probably
next
get it
year,
back
when
next
we get
year.
it back.
Ryan Will, you probably come to Minneapolis and take it back next year. The portal season is starting. The Badgers are probably going to be pretty active, and that includes probably a quarterback, wouldn't you think?
Probably. I don't know if Miller Moss would work in Wisconsin because he's from a warm climate and it gets cold up here.
I think you know what? I think Wisconsin would be a pretty good fit, to be honest with you. I mean, a really good fit, because Wisconsin does max protection a lot for the quarterback. Miller Moss needs a pocket. If he gets the pocket, man, he is very, very, very good. He'd be the most talented quarterback Wisconsin has had for quite a long time. So I'm gonna that is a I did not think of Wisconsin. Well, I think I did mention Wisconsin, but you let me know, Ryan Willie, if there's any smoke about Miller Moss going to Madison.
Well, I don't know how to keep track of the transfer portal, so I'm just hearing what people are saying online. So I do have a couple questions for you. Well, one question and one kind of Evil Badger's comment. So putting your Minnesota, Wisconsin hate aside.
Yep.
I did mention last night on Moen's show that I believe that if Fickle does not turn around next year, which means at least a bowl game,
Yep.
that Fickle will be gone after next season.
I would agree. Yep.
And even though this is about Evil Badger, pardon me, even though Minnesota having the meal dumped over Fleck's head means that the Minnesota Gophers will win, that would make me feel better because of how Fleck acted after the game.
I don't know. How did he act after the game? I don't even know. Is there a story out there?
Well, they were showing a video of him basically hitting the axe on the ceiling in the locker room.
Okay, well, I will say this. He does that after every victory. Every victory, no matter who it is, he runs into the locker room, they put him up, and they throw him up against the ceiling. And I think he had a paper axe or whatever. He did not damage the ceiling. It was paper. He does that after every single game. It's part of the locker room celebration.
I still don't like it.
Well, I tell you what. Did you see the handshake between Fleck and Fickle?
I thought they hate each other.
They do hate each other. That's why I'm saying it. Did you see the handshake? It was the quickest handshake. It was the quickest handshake in the history of handshake. Their hands barely touched each other. They did not look at each other. They despise each other. So, yeah, Fleck gets along great with almost all the coaches in the Big Ten. He's great friends with the Illinois coach, the Penn State head coach. But him and Fickle, man, they have a past with each other. They hate each other. Go ahead, sir.
So all I know is that Cole True is the quarterback that left Wisconsin, not Matauer or Locke yet. We think that Locke's brother is going to hit the transfer portal, and I'm hoping that Braden does too.
Yeah.
Because we're bringing in that 4-star Carter Smith in a couple of days. He said that he's going to early enroll.
That'd be good. That would be good. That'd be good news. Get him early enrolled and let him battle for the QB1 spot.
And I'm tired of all these transfer portal quarterbacks.
Yeah.
TVD can head out of Madison too, for all I care.
Yeah. All right, man.
All right. Well, that's all I have. Thanks for taking my call.
I appreciate the call, Ryan Willie. Thank you so very much. Call again, sir.
Thank you.
You got it.
All right.
Okay, the phone lines are open. 763-260-1333.
Call from
BJ.
BJ, the floor is yours. How you doing, sir?
Hey, what's up, Greg? And as always, appreciate it for letting me speak on your platform.
You bet.
Allowing me. Great day to be a Seminole.
Yeah, very good day. Very good day. Absolutely.
Greg, back when I was younger, football season, there was like just a season.
Yeah.
As the older I get, the more I realize there's like an off season that's just as important, if not more important than the standard season.
Yeah.
And it seems to be getting longer and longer and longer to the fact that college football is almost year round.
Running this YouTube channel, I can guarantee you it's year round. And in the off season, people are starving for college football content. During the season, not so much because there's so much overflow of content, right? But during the off season, when the national channels are not talking about it, the YouTube channels get very busy. So it is a year-round season, no question about it, BJ.
Yep. And for that, thank you for doing your hard work to give us starving folks some content. So, but I said to say this. It's amazing. College football has changed. It's amazing how in a span of 2 years, administratively, it is a completely different sport, right? And as it pertains to what fans want and need and what they desire in terms of expectations, to me is not sustainable. Coaches are getting paid, hired and fired in 3 years, right? And when I was growing up, that was you give a coach at least 4 years to see what he has. From your perspective, do you think that hurts the game or helps the game? The fact that the churn of coaches in our sport, because I have my opinion. I'll wait to give you my opinion about it, but I'm curious to hear your opinion about the effect of the churn of the sport has on the coaching. I'm talking position coaches, head coaches, and the entire staffs.
Yeah, it's a lot more stressful because any year you could be without a job, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you're just trying to jump to higher land or more stable land. Some of these coaches are looking for an out before they get dismissed because once you're fired, your perceived value goes down. So you're looking for the next job before you get fired. Um, so a lot of it is timing. Yeah, it's more stressful than ever before. That's for sure.
I agree. I'd say I don't like it for the sport because you get these coaches that are just disingenuous, right? Because they know how the game goes. Like, I'm hired to get fired. And as much as, like, I love that Florida State picked up Tony White, like, I think he's a brilliant guy. And given another year at Nebraska, he was building, like, an amazing defense. Outside of maybe 2 or 3 games, their defense was, like, super dope, right?
Yeah.
And so, and so for me, I just don't like the turn. I don't like what's happening down at UCF. And it's like, just online, what I see in the comment section when I go to UCF's, content creators, is like they're just crapping on Gus Malzahn, and I'm like, yeah, like Gus Malzahn, there's not many people with his credentials in the game, even though it was 10 years ago. When he won his chip or about it, but he's a really good coach. It may not have worked out at UCF, but for them to just kick that guy out like that, I think it's like, to me, it's like, why would I want to go there if that's how you treat guys like Gus? And Gus is respected in the coaching industry, right? He's the godfather of a style of offense that a lot of people run. Kenny Dillingham, Mike Norvell. The go-go offense is built off that Gus Malzahn, spread veer. So, and that's all I wanted to talk about. Just that, like, I like that Florida State got their coach, their coordinators, and they're set. But I'm just not a big fan of the coaching turnover at all. And, and hopefully these coaches land on their feet, and they're going to coach. But I like when coaches stay for a while, and it gave universities and programs an identity. And now the identities just change from year to year. You never know what you're getting. Mm-hmm. But as always, Greg, thanks for allowing me to speak on your platform, and you have a blessed day.
You got it. Appreciate it, BJ. Great call, sir. Great call. Tony White is going to change it up in Tallahassee. I mean, he did it at Nebraska. He runs that 3-3-5, so you guys are going to be hearing a lot about it, the Seminole fans. A lot of defenses, your base package is now 4 down linemen. That third lineman might be a rush in, might not have his hand to the grass. But then you have 2 linebackers and then 5 secondary. You got 2 cornerbacks. You probably have a nickel slot back and a couple safeties. Tony White likes to run a lot of 3 linebackers. 3 mobile linebackers. 2 of them really mobile linebackers.
Call from
Tristan Fives.
Tristan, the floor is yours. Let her rip, sir. Thanks for calling.
Hey, Greg. Thanks for taking my call. Listen, did I hear correctly earlier in the show you were saying that the Nebraska quarterback, Raiola, is there speculation that he's going to enter into the transfer portal?
No, I have not heard of it. Like a month ago, people were worried about it because things were going pear-shaped on that offense. I have not heard any serious smoke at all. I think I'm hoping for his sake that Dana Holgorsen stays at Nebraska. That is the report I'm waiting for. Like Dana Holgorsen signs a contract with Nebraska because that's going to give the young quarterback some stability. Because if Dana leaves, then you're going to have a third offensive coordinator at Nebraska already in Dylan Raiola's career, and I don't think that's going to be helpful. But no, I have not heard any serious smoke.
Okay. Well, I'll mention just one thing. If I was him, and I'm not saying that he should be looking to leave because obviously he went there for a reason, but if he chooses to leave, Greg, you got to think the odds-on favorite would be Oregon. What do you feel about that?
Boy, I don't know about that. The reason why, again, we're just pretending here because we don't think there's any. Well, maybe for Raiola's sake, that would be great. The Oregon is under Lanning and before him, but under Lanning. Bo Nix, they told him to get rid of that ball as quick as possible. Dylan Gabriel gets rid of that ball as quick as possible. That's the offense that the Buckeyes should be running, by the way. In other words, don't play max protect. Send out as many receivers as possible. It's a quarterback-led offense. Get rid of the ball. Spot your, have the hot routes out there just in case the other team is blitzing. There probably are because you're not having anybody in the backfield protecting your quarterback. Oregon is get the ball out of your hands as fast as possible. Dylan Raiola struggles with that mightily. That is the one thing that he is struggling with, is he does not pull the trigger on an open receiver. It gets to the point where he seems like he has to dance around a little bit. It would be great for Raiola, but I bet Oregon would look at him and say he doesn't quite fit what we want to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he doesn't fit exactly what they're doing today.
Yeah.
Well,
it'd be great for him, but I think go ahead, sir.
Yeah, no. I'm glad that I wanted to get your feedback. That was what I was looking for. So, Dylan Gabriel, he is going to the NFL, right? Or is he do we think he might stay in Oregon another year?
No, I think he has to go. This was last year.
Yeah, so the formula has been for Lanning to find an established quarterback of high caliber and bring them in for, 1 or 2 years. And if he sticks to that formula, I'm trying to figure out who it is that he would be going after this offseason and this transfer portal cycle. And I don't know who it would be. Raiola was a talented player that I thought, well, maybe if he leaves, but based on what you're saying, he may not be the best fit. I'm not sure where he would turn if he needed to get another quarterback.
I am not sure what Oregon is doing for 2025. That's a conversation if somebody knows in the chat room, what is the Ducks' plan for 2025? The only thing I remember for the Ducks is they are bullish on some kid from Hawaii. But I think that Hawaiian kid is, I think he'd be a true freshman next year. So, and I might be wrong. I think the kids from Hawaii, they're very big on him. Right. Other than that, I do not know what Oregon's plan. Oh, Dante Moore. Dante Moore. That's correct. Hummus Hero, thank you so much. Dante Moore is their guy for next year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I forgot about him.
And he's already on. They already have him on the roster, then, right?
Yes. He's been on the roster this year. Thank you, Hummus Hero. I completely spaced out on Mr. Moore. I know they're big on some Hawaii kid who's only rated 15th or 20th in the high school class. I read some story that Oregon thinks this Hawaii kid the Hawaii kid's got 21 letters in his last name. Else I would be saying, it's a name I'm never going to be able to pronunciate. But they really love this kid. So my mind was on that. Dante Moore's their guy for next year. Yep.
Okay, yeah. Well, that sounds like I just was looking him up here. Yeah, he looks like he's going to be a solid player. I mean, we obviously have to wait and see how he turns out. But if they're high on him, then it seems like he'll be a good player.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and mention this again, Greg, because this is going to become a theme. Georgia, I don't think, is going to beat Texas. The two teams, the way they're playing right now, it looks like Texas is the better team. If they lose, which I'm expecting, I think they're going to have a quick exit from the playoff. And they might make it to the second round just because the first round, they might be playing some teams that aren't quite as good. But, Greg, this is an issue that's going to come up again. I'm telling you, Kirby Smart has trouble getting these quarterbacks, getting these mobile quarterbacks that can kind of do it all. And also as a byproduct of these struggles, he can't seem to recruit these like super talented wide receivers in the top 100. And what have we seen this year with Georgia? They have a bunch of receivers that can get open, but they can't catch the ball. They lead in drops. So this is going to continue to plague Georgia. And I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know if they're going to keep Bobo. I have no idea how they're going to respond to this. But if they perform in the postseason the way I think we're all expecting them to, he's going to have to make some hard choices, and I don't know what those choices are going to be.
Yeah. I haven't thought about their quarterback situation either for next year.
Yeah.
Very
they've got,
interesting.
they've got Gunnar Stockton, and I have my doubts about him just because I feel like if he was a really talented player, we'd have seen him already. They've always got some 4 or 5 star coming in, but Greg, it's always the guy standing in the pocket. It's always the pocket passer. It's your Jacob Eason, your Jake Fromm, JT Daniels. You see the style of quarterback he uses. That's what he prefers. The one exception to that rule was Stetson Bennett, and he was a walk-on originally. Mm-hmm. So they lucked into getting him. That doesn't count, really. He was on the roster, and then he proved himself to them. But they didn't go out and get him as a high-caliber recruit. And it's going to be interesting because, Greg, it's going to engender the same comments from supporters. You're like Dabo Swinney. You refuse to evolve.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that's what's the talk is going to start to become about him. If they're probably going to win at most one more game, I would say, in this season. And the quarterback problems and the wide receiver problems are going to be front and center
the wide man, they got a huge wide receiver issue at Georgia. I don't know what's going on there. That is, man.
The funny thing is, Greg, they can get open. They just drop the ball so much.
Yeah,
And, the thing is, Greg, look, the way Kirby runs that offense, and I shouldn't say Kirby because he has offensive coordinators, but I'm assuming that he has some measure of say over how the offense runs. They want to establish the run. They want to spread the ball around. And that's great when you're firing all cylinders, that's great. But when your offense is struggling, like they have at times this year with turnovers and so forth, man, you got to have that stud that can just put the team on his back sometimes and just get the job done.
Yeah.
And they don't have it. They don't have it at the quarterback position. They don't have it at the receiver position. And as well as that team recruits, there's really not an excuse for it.
And they don't give they don't give the ball enough to Frazier, that young running back, either. So
well, Greg, he's got fumble problems.
You're right. You're right. Yep.
Yeah, and that's another thing that Kirby, if you fumble, you gotta you're going into the doghouse and you got to earn your way out of it. But Greg, I mean, you look at the recruiting. The correlation is astounding. You got Ohio State, Alabama, and Georgia basically as the top 3 almost every single year. and each of them in their own way are struggling right now, which I think is just very strange, very interesting. Speaks to the parity that we see going on.
And I'm going to say it. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I said this to Moen, and he didn't want to hear it. Nobody wants to hear it. I'm just going to say it. I think the Buckeyes, if they're traveling to Tennessee, or Tennessee's traveling to Ohio State, I think the Buckeyes, because I've got that as an 8-9 game, Tennessee and the Buckeyes. I think Ohio State's going to rip Tennessee. I think they're going to shred Tennessee. I've got the Buckeyes beating Tennessee. And I think Georgia is, if they lose that SEC championship game, I still think they're going to get the 7th seed. And they're going to be playing a team like Indiana, and they'll probably win that first round game. But
yeah, and that's what I was saying, Greg. They might win that first game.
Yeah.
But if they run into an Ohio State or an Oregon in second round, I don't know how it would go.
Yeah.
They're not getting past them.
I think Indiana could give Georgia, I think Indiana could, the way Georgia is, right? So hot and so cold. But I think Georgia's going to have a better matchup than Tennessee is. So.
Yeah. Ohio State, Greg, they just need, listen, they were my preseason pick to win it all. The talent's still there. They still could get hot and win it all if they could get that one game to get it going again. If they really tear into Tennessee, like you're saying, that might just ignite the team, and they might just go on a tear. So we'll see. I mean, this is going to be a heck of a postseason.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be fun, man. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, that's cool. Hey, listen, thanks for taking my call, and I'll talk to you later on.
You got
Greg.
it. Appreciate it.
All right. Bye-bye.
Yeah, a lot of people think the 8-9 is Ohio State and Tennessee. It seems to be lining up that way because Notre Dame, Penn State, in the loser of the SEC championship game, they're going to be 5, 6, and 7. Well, I should say the loser of the Big Ten championship game, the loser of the SEC championship game, in Notre Dame is going to be 5, 6, and 7. And it's probably going to be Notre Dame number 5. So Penn State, Oregon 6, Georgia, Texas 6, Georgia, Texas 7, whatever. Penn State, Oregon 7. It's that 8 and 9 slot. And it's probably going to be the Buckeyes in Tennessee. And then you're going to get to your Indiana, SMU, and the Big 12 champion, or the Mountain West Conference champion if it's UNLV. I think Boise State's going to get number 4 if they win. So Indiana, SMU, Indiana, SMU, or Indiana, Alabama. Unfortunately, I think it should be South Carolina, but I'm predicting the committee to go Alabama. If SMU wins the ACC championship, Alabama will get that 10, 11, 12 spot. So, anyways, I think the 8 and 9 is setting up for Tennessee and Ohio State. You can see the 10, 11, and 12 in different ways. You can see the 5, 6, and 7. I don't see Tennessee or Ohio State, no matter what happens. I do not see Tennessee, the only 10 I see. I do not see the Volunteers or the Buckeyes being able to get into the 5, 6, 7. And I don't see the Volunteers and the Buckeyes falling to 10, 11, and 12. So we're going to have, in my opinion, which means absolutely nothing, but this is what a college football YouTube channel. I think we're going to watch a Buckeye Volunteer playoff game, and I don't know where it's going to be. I've got it predicted Tennessee. by the slimmest of margins. But whatever. And I think Tennessee is a team that the Buckeyes are going to beat. Because the offensive line of Tennessee is not going to be able to handle that defensive line. And I think the Buckeyes are going to be able to score enough against the Volunteers. I think Tennessee's a pretty good matchup for the Buckeyes. Now, the problem is the winner of that game is probably going to play number 1 Oregon or Penn State in the second round. Anyways, it's going to be lots of fun. Lots of fun. I can't... Don Scruggs, we need to have all Big Ten and SEC teams play in the first round. Why do Fickle and Fleck hate each other? Because they used to coach with each other on the same staff. And there's a story out there, and I don't know if it's true. I'm not going to repeat it. Somebody got mad at, I think Fickle told Fleck to do something, and Fleck basically said, I'm not going to get into it. Whatever. It doesn't matter. They hate each other. They absolutely hate each other. Buckeyes at 7. I don't think so. I mean, I cannot see it. I mean, who are you going to... Notre Dame's going to be 5, 6, or 7. The loser of the SEC championship game is going to be 6 or 7. The loser of the Big Ten... The SEC and the Big Ten are... I cannot see the Buckeyes get into 7. Just can't see it. I think it's pretty much impossible, in my opinion. So I think Notre Dame is probably at number 5. What's your line in the Big Ten game, Greg? Will Ryan go? What's your line on the Big Ten game? You mean the Big Ten championship game? I do not know. I haven't even looked at it. We are going to do that on Tuesday or Wednesday. Will Ryan Day go? Yes, he will go if the Buckeyes do not make a run in the playoffs. You cannot lose to the Michigan Wolverines 4 straight years and keep your job. Not when you're 20.5-point favorites, playing at home, and you spent all that money on that roster. In this day and age, where you're spending all that money legally on that roster, and you don't beat Michigan, who's taken a step back this year, you're gone. Unless they go to the national championship game or they win the national championship game. I think Ryan Day is gone. I agree with Moen Vision. You cannot keep him. You cannot keep the trust between all these people at Ohio State. You cannot keep the trust inside the Woody Hayes Center at Ohio State University. He's gone. He's gone unless they make a run in the playoffs. I just happen to think the Buckeyes match up good with Tennessee. I think a lot of teams in the playoffs are going to match up good with Tennessee. I am not a Tennessee believer. I'm a Texas believer. I'm a Georgia believer. I'm an Oregon believer. I'm a Penn State, I'm halfway there believer. I think the other teams have had an incredible season, and they deserve to be in the 12-team playoff. The winner of Arizona State, Iowa State, Indiana, Tennessee, all of them deserve to be in the playoffs. Boise State, SMU, the winner of SMU, fantastic. But to win the national championship, I'm an Oregon believer. I'm a Georgia believer. I'm halfway there. I think Penn State is going to surprise somebody. I think Penn State is way better than people overall are looking at them. I don't believe in Alabama at all. I've seen enough of Bama. No way are they going to win the national championship. No. If you think Bama's going to win the national championship, put on that Alabama-Oklahoma game. Put it on. Put it on. No way is Alabama. They are not. I hope that Bama plays Penn State in the first round. Make it happen. Make it happen, baby. Make it happen. Was Day trying to prove his? I guess. I mean, you're running your running backs against those two incredible defensive tackles for Michigan. We've talked about it. The Buckeyes need to run their offense to where Will Howard makes quick decisions on where he's going to deliver the ball to those four excellent wide receivers. Do not max protect. If they're going to blitz you, go ahead, let them blitz you. Get the ball out of your hands. Have a couple of hot routes. Go deep on the other guys. The wide receivers are incredible. They are incredibly talented. So that's where the ball should be going. And if you do not trust Will Howard to make those quick decisions, if you need to have max protection, if you need to run that ball to slow down the other team, if you're trying to run that ball against those two great defensive tackles up the middle, if you don't trust your quarterback, then you should not have gotten Will Howard in the portal. He was not the right fit. So I don't know if Ryan Day lost that game during the game, or did Ryan Day lose the game in the locker room, or did Ryan Day lose the game when he made his portal selection at quarterback. But he lost that game somewhere, and you cannot lose 4 straight times to Michigan if you're the Buckeyes. You can't do it. Come on, Greg, Bama is great. Nah, they're not. No, they're not. No, they're not great. Yeah, he is. Yes, he is, Mr. Moss, but you cannot lose to Michigan 4 straight times. Because all of that money that is going into that program to spend for all that talent, to get Quinshon Judkins out of the portal, to get Will Howard out of the portal, to get Jeremiah Smith, the number 1 receiver, the number 1 player, for all that money being spent is not to be spent on beating Purdue, Illinois, Minnesota, Maryland, Rutgers. That money is being spent to beat Michigan in your 0-4. Ryan Day is gone. Gone. If the Buckeyes do not make a run in the playoffs to at least the national championship game. And they very well might. Again, Oregon, Georgia, Ohio State, Texas, Penn State, Notre Dame. Those 6 teams, I think they've got a shot at winning the national championship. The other 6 teams, prove me wrong. Great years. It's going to be a great playoff. It's going to be exciting. I can't wait. We're going to be doing it all here at Peek Around the Corner. We're going to be doing watch parties for all the games. Thank you, Helmer Hennessy, for your super chat. Appreciate it. Thank you so much for helping us keep the lights here on at Peek Around the Corner. John Teal, quarterback last year, went to UCLA, and he's at Oregon. Yes, Dante Moore. Thank you, John Teal, for your super chat. for your support once again here at Peek Around the Corner. We're going to be shutting it down. We've been on the air for over 2 hours. I want to thank everybody for coming on in. Live show Monday, December 2nd. The Florida State Seminoles do hit a home run on their defensive coordinator hire. Tony White is the real deal, Holyfield. Congratulations. We'll see how Nebraska replaces a defensive coordinator. Another story that we got to follow. What defensive players does Nebraska lose to Florida State and others because Tony White is leaving the program? We got a lot of stories to follow. Stay with us here at Peek Around the Corner. Please, before you leave, subscribe to our channel. Smash that like button if you liked our content. We appreciate you all. Until next time, from all of us at PATC to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.